Hey everyone, and welcome back to Bridging the Gap. Make sure to leave a like on this video down below and subscribe. My name is Alvin. I lean right on most issues, and I'll be representing the Republican side.
Hey, I'm Luke. I lean left on most issues, and I'll be representing the Democratic side. Now, in this video, we're going to be updating our ratings for both the Senate and governor races in the 2022 midterm elections. We are fast approaching election day. How many days is it now, Alvin? Like 20 something?
23.
23 days. Yeah. So we're just going to be updating some of our ratings, looking at some races that we might consider for rating changes and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially in October, it's already mid-October, so we think it's important not to wait a whole month until we change our ratings because things change really quickly in the final months until an
Mm-hmm.
election. So here we go. Let's start with the Senate. And there's a few races that aren't going to change ratings, but we think have something important to touch on. Let's just go from the West Coast to the East Coast, because why not?
Yep.
So let's start with Washington then. In Washington, we did get some weird things. The betting markets have shifted for Tiffany Smiley, the Republican, slightly, and mainly due to these fundraising numbers that she's put up. She's released in the third quarter of 2022. She's raised $6 million, which is a massive amount. Seems like a lot of people have been donating to her. And while Patty Murray hasn't released her fundraising totals, we can assume that this is a pretty big haul for Smiley. And we got a few new polls in Washington since our last video. Most notably, it's going to be the Emerson poll. The Emerson poll puts Murray up 9, which is not exactly as strong as some people might think. And that's why we considered putting this one into likely Democrat, but Luke's found some weird things that happened with the Emerson College poll.
Yeah, I don't know. That Emerson poll, I find it kind of hard to buy, partly because it only had Biden winning the state by 11. That would be a pretty big 8-point shift from 2020. So I don't know. Like that poll, I'm not like entirely sure it reflects the amount Murray will get like completely. I don't know. And there's been other data to suggest Murray might be doing better. Like I believe it was a public policy poll that had Murray moving up like 3 points from last month, I believe. I don't know. This one, I think we should keep it where it
Yeah.
is compared to our last rating, but we're definitely going to keep an eye on Murray's fundraising numbers and try to get an idea of like if this could move. But yeah, this one's definitely like right between likely and solid Democrat.
Yep. And let's not forget the Trafalgar poll that puts Murray only up 2, which is why we really considered having it likely in the first place. It's a good factor. Anyways, there's a few more races that we're not going to change the rating of, but we need to touch on. Next, it's going to be Utah.
Yep.
Utah, we're going to keep and say Republican, but let's talk about it.
Yeah, so here we have Evan McMullin, an independent, running against Mike Lee, a Republican. Yeah, this one's really interesting. The polling's been kind of whack here. Like Republican internals show Lee like very safe, but like independent internals by McMullin's campaign or like connected to his campaign show McMullin up a little. And most independent pollsters have this in like a likely either a likely range or like just above that 10-point solid range. I don't know. This one's like the polling's so whack here. That's what makes this rating kind of hard. And also the fact that McMullin's independent, like he's someone who he's basically Democrats' only choice in Utah, essentially.
Yeah.
And he's gonna appeal to moderates because he's a more conservative guy. He's definitely no like Democrat. I don't know. So he might be able to get undecided. So like that's why I'm like on the fence about this one personally. But again, like
it is Utah.
It is Utah, and I mean, I don't. Do you want to? I mean, there's also that recent like news article about Mike Lee and Romney. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So, yeah, it's Utah. Mike Lee is an incumbent senator. Obviously, that's a very strong point, and he has the R next to his name. So that's what he has going for him. What he doesn't have going for him is earlier, 2 days ago, we had an article come out with Mike Lee saying that he's publicly begging his counterpart in the Senate, Mitt Romney, for an endorsement. And usually people don't need to do that if they're winning by a lot. And maybe his internal numbers show him, with intent. So we were really considering putting this into likely, but we think it just isn't enough.
Yeah, we need more data.
We need more data to really make a rating change. So that'll be that. And then we have Colorado, which is going to be staying in safe Democrat. But we did get a few new polls out of Colorado. And most notably, we do have the Mayor's College poll. And in likely voters, O'Day is only trailing by 6 points, which is somehow on par with Trafalgar, right? And this is a little suspicious from the get-go. It's not exactly clear. O'Day is a moderate, but I think the polls are not great in Colorado, and they lean to the right, if anything. The shifts are going to continue in Colorado. They're just shifting so fast to the left. They're basically, they're moving into safety territory with every cycle. I personally still think Bennett is going to win by over 10.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this Colorado race. Like, the only thing that like makes me like reserved about like putting this in full solid, like for me, like what I'm thinking about is Bennett's like poll numbers. Like, they aren't, like, not many of them show him above 50, which usually isn't ideal for an incumbent. I don't know. Like, even in like New Hampshire, Maggie Hassan is like polling above 50. So I don't know. Maybe O'Day can get us closer, but I don't know. It's the shifts also in the state of Colorado to the left. I don't know. We're gonna leave this one the way it was at the beginning of this month and keep it solid. Yeah.
Yep. So then next we're going to move to the final state where we're not shifting anything, and that's going to be Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, we're leaving into lean Democrat, and feel free to talk about it.
Yeah, so here, the main thing that's changed is we got that recent interview from Fetterman. Like, I believe it was his first, what was it? What was it, a live interview? His first live interview. His first, well, one of his first, like, I don't know. He did an interview essentially after having that stroke. I believe, was it early spring in the summer? And essentially, like, it was the first time the public could really get to see the state of Fetterman. And I don't know, like, kind of what we saw, like, I don't know, it's not what you really want to see in a candidate, I guess. Like, Fetterman, essentially in the interview, like, obviously he had a stroke and it affected his like brain function. So he could understand the questions, but he couldn't effectively hear them being asked or speak to respond to them, if that makes sense. Like, his responses were like more like slurred, like he slurred words together and like missed a few. He had to use closed captioning to like understand the questions being asked of him. I don't know.
Yeah. That's not good. That's not good ideal news, especially with that debate coming up, right? If you see his closed captioning during that debate, Oz is going to have that running in every single one of his ads until the election day. That's all I've got to say.
Yeah. I mean, there has been recent attacks on ads, like on Dr. Oz through advertisements, especially on his like his experiments on like dogs, and like he killed like 300 dogs or something.
I don't think anyone
I'm not
cared,
sure.
though.
I'm not sure that's too effective, but there's been that. And also, I'd like to note a recent Trafalgar poll, Trafalgar Daily Wire poll, has still kept Fetterman up 2 points. So that would imply to me, at least, that Fetterman still has that lead here.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We're definitely going to be watching Pennsylvania. And it has been looking to be closening, but I think we're still leaving it in lean for now.
Yeah, lean Democrat. Now there's 4 states left in the Senate that we are going to move. Let's start by doing the states that are going to be moving to the left, and those are going to be Ohio and Georgia. So let's start with Ohio. Ohio, we are going to be moving from likely Republican to lean Republican. We were on the fence about this one, but we ended up just putting in likely. But we do think, It's been a while, and while the debate didn't really seem to have a clear winner, we do think that Tim Ryan is starting to get a real shot. We did have the Emerson College Bowl. Went from R+4 in September to R+1, and we have the Trafalgar poll putting them up 3. And it is important to note that in Ohio, the polling error is always going to be leaning to the left. I don't think it's really unlikely that this is going to be Vance by over 5. But with Tim Ryan running such a solid campaign, I think there's a real shot. And he's probably going to lose, right? But I think at this point, Vance is only winning by about 5 or so, and we think it's more safe to put it into lead.
Yeah, I've been consistently saying that Tim Ryan's been running a crazy good campaign in Ohio, and JD Vance has been running a lackluster one. And I've always really thought for the last few months over the summer that this would be closer than it was in 2020. Now, like the recent polls have been shifting slightly in Tim Ryan's favor. Emerson, I believe, moved it from a little over 3 to 0.8, and Trafalgar also moved it slightly to the left. So that implies it is getting closer. And I believe, I mean, there was obviously that debate also. I don't think it really had enough effect to change the course of the race, but I know Tim Ryan did get a few solid attack lines in there that sounded pretty good. But yeah, I do think this one is closening a bit. Yeah, right now I think it's like around a 4-point race. Like I think JD Vance might be leading by like 4, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, there's too many polls in favor of Ryan. This might be 2020 deja vu, and we'll see Vance just win by 10, and we're going to get clowned. But that's why there's still one more prediction, or maybe even 2 more until election day. So we'll keep an eye on Ohio. Now, Georgia. Georgia is extremely interesting. They did have their debate, and it seemed like it was about a tie. There wasn't a big shift in the betting markets after the debate. But we did have that scandal. The scandal for Herschel Walker has certainly not helped him. I might as well just say that. The Trafalgar metrics moved from R+1 to D+1. And we saw all these other polls come out since the scandal showing Warnock up. And the polls in Georgia, if anything, are probably going to be skewed to the right just a tad. I think this one is going to be moving into lean Democrat.
Yeah, definitely. With the trends, I can definitely see this going to lean Democrat. And also Walker, like his scandals, he was running on family values. And then all these scandals came out on his mental state and like threatening his family, and that now the abortion thing, it's just like piling on. And then the Christian Walker, his son, went really after his father. I don't know, like it's not looking good for Herschel Walker. And the debate, I will say, I watched the debate. Walker did do better than I thought he would, but that I believe is only because he set the bar so low that I thought he would just like collapse. But no, he stood his own, I guess. But I don't know. I think it's pretty clear that Warnock has a lead right now. Will he maintain that till election day? We'll have to see. But yeah, I think it is in favor of Warnock right now.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to move to the 2 races that shifted to the right. And I'll let you just start with Wisconsin.
Yeah, Wisconsin. I mean, just looking at the polling, like you can see it's just soared into the favor of Ron Johnson, the incumbent Republican senator. And a recent Marquette poll with likely voters put him up 6, which is kind of crazy. And I would like to also note in 2016, the polling was biased against Johnson by a lot. Like Johnson outperformed the polls by like more than 5. So I think if Marquette's putting him at 6, I don't know. Like this year, polling might be different, but I don't know. I think he's definitely getting it above 5 as of right now. Mandela Barnes isn't effective.
Agree. Not much to add. Everything that Luke said. Let's just move on to Nevada. Nevada, we put this one in tilt Republican, and in my opinion, it should have been lean Republican. And I think now it's ever clearer that it is lean Republican.
Yeah, it's just been moving that way. Yeah.
It's been moving that way. Let's just be honest with ourselves here. Adam Laxalt is a strong candidate, and even if the polls, I mean, the polls are probably dead on. They probably Laxalt's just up by around two, maybe even three here in this race, somewhere between 1 to 3 points. It's just better for us to put this one into lean Democrat with all these polls showing Laxalt. They're just consistently putting Laxalt up. And he's shown signs of momentum in the betting odds. He's crossed 65 cents. He's nearing 70 cents. I think it's definitely the right move to put this one into lean.
Yep, I would agree. So let's move to the governor races.
Let's quickly move on to the governor's races. Let's try to speed run these a little since there are a lot. There's a few that we need to talk about that are not changing, just like we did with the Senate. And those are going to be South Dakota, Oklahoma, and Pennsylvania.
So let's
go. You talk about Pennsylvania.
So Pennsylvania first, we have Attorney General Josh Shapiro running against MAGA Republican Doug Mastriano. Now, so here we've seen pretty consistently in the polling Josh Shapiro hovering around double digits, a double-digit lead, and the most recent Trafalgar poll put him up 9. I personally think this could be in solid, but I don't know. I don't want to jump to conclusions yet. I don't know. Josh Shapiro's been running a really good campaign. He's been raising a crap ton of money, while meanwhile Mastriano's been getting no help from national Republicans whatsoever. I think right now Shapiro has it at like around 9. Like I could see it 9. I could see it 10. To be safe, I'm like in between on this one. To be safe, I think we keep it likely, but yeah, I can see that.
We are keeping this one in likely Democrat. This Trafalgar poll has him up 9, which means it's probably up 10. But the thing to say with Trafalgar is that this one was sponsored by the Daily Wire, and it could be weird. Trafalgar isn't exactly I mean, they're an accurate pollster, but I wouldn't say they're a good pollster, and there's a difference. I think this one is going to stay likely now, but it could move to safe in the future. There we go. Another thing to say here is just that it's difficult to see Pennsylvania splitting the ticket by over 10, but it could happen. It happened in Ohio in 2018. So there we go. And then I guess I'll just cover South Dakota and Oklahoma really quick since there's not that much to talk about. One poll out of South Dakota shows Kristi Noem only up 4. Interesting. It shows John Thune in the Senate race up around 20. So maybe Kristi Noem maybe this is head for some type of closer than expected race, and she only won by 4 in 2018. But I think it's still South Dakota. We think we're going to keep this into solid.
I agree.
Then I'm just going to speed run Oklahoma if you don't mind. We got Kevin Stitt here against Troy Hoffmeister, and we got this weird Sooner poll. Some of these polls show this one closer than usual. Gotta be said, though, Sooner was off by like 20 points in 2020. So they're probably just a trash pollster. We think Kevin Stitt is a solid enough governor, and he won by 12 in 2018. The environment's just better for him. He's definitely winning by over 10 in our opinion. This one's going to be safe Republican.
For the most part, I would agree, but I will say Hoffmeister is a former Republican. She's now running as a Democrat, so she might get some support from independents. We're definitely going to be watching this one in the future, but yeah,
there we go. Now we have 4 races. We are going to be moving one of them to the right, but 3 of them, one of them to the left, but 3 of them are going to move to the right. So let's start with one race that's moving to the left, and that's going to be New Mexico. We are moving New Mexico into likely Democrat. Want to explain it?
Yeah. So in New Mexico, Michelle Lujan Grisham has been, she's been doing very solid in her polling. I believe on 538, like almost all the A-rated polls have her 5 or up. I think she's been doing better. Comparing the two, Survey USA polls, she improved her margins. Despite Ron Chetty being a young, energetic candidate, I think it is moving in the direction of Grisham, especially after the abortion ruling, and New Mexico being one of those blue states that hasn't actually fully protected abortion.
Agreed.
But I think
Yeah.
this one's moving left. Yeah.
And one more thing is the public policy poll that also moved from D+3 to D+8. So there we go. This one's going to be moving into likely Democrat. Now, 3 races are going to be moving to the right. Let's start with the East Coast and move to the West. New York has Lee Zeldin doing a lot better than I expected against Kathy Hochul, who's honestly a decent governor electorally. Now, Kathy Hochul obviously took the office after the disgraced Andrew Cuomo resigned, and Lee Zeldin has been doing a lot better than expected in the most recent October polling. We've seen him closing it to a margin of 2 points in Trafalgar. And even though this shouldn't be trusted, we do have to note Trafalgar did have it at 5 in the past. We've seen Marist release a poll where he's within 8 points, and we see some random Schoen Cooperman research poll put him within 6. And we think there's a real shot that Lee Zeldin has it within 10. We think we're going to be moving this one into likely Democrat.
I don't know. I've had some reservations about fully moving this into likely, but seeing as Zeldin's been improving, and there's been lots of news reports on him, especially related, like kind of reinforcing his comments on crime and increasing crime, with like that assassination attempt on him, I guess, like in upstate New York, and that shooting outside his house. There's reports on that, I think, got him good media attention and media attention on his issues like crime, and I think that ultimately helps him. So yeah, we can move it to likely.
Yeah, and then we're gonna go to Nevada. Why don't you explain Nevada?
So Nevada, I mean, Joe Lombardo and incumbent Governor Steve Sisolak. I don't know. In the most recent polls, we've seen Lombardo leading, and also with Adam Laxalt doing better in this race. I think generally it's just shifting to the right. So if we're putting Adam Laxalt lean, I think we kind of have to move Joe Lombardo there too. Yeah, like it's just I think it's just the climate of the state right now. Slightly shifting to the right.
State's shifting to the right. Hispanics are shifting to the right, and even though we had that Dobbs ruling and Nevada's super pro-choice, we've seen the polls actually shift to the right over the past few months, and we think it's enough to put Lombardo into the lean column. Then finally, Oregon. Oregon. It's the anti-Alaska because, obviously with the 3-way race in Alaska, with Mary Peltola able to win, we have a 3-way race here that's giving Christine Drazan actually the narrow victory in our opinion. As of mid-October, we're going to be putting this into tilt Republican, and it's not as so much as a poll thing. Obviously, we did get the Emerson College poll, right? That put Drazan up too, but that was factored into our last prediction. And this Clout Research poll isn't anything new, right? We had the same thing in our last prediction, but as of right now, we think Christine Drazan. In my opinion, it's really just a gut prediction. I think, I thought the undecideds, they're gonna break for Kotek. They're gonna break for Kotek, right? Right?
Yeah.
Right. No, it's October.
Wait. But like, the thing is, like, the reason I'm willing to move this to the Republican side is I think the undecideds might actually vote against the Democrat now. Because like now I've been thinking more about the race, and I've looked at the news coverage, and I looked at the incumbent governor's approval rating, who is a Democrat, and it's the lowest of any governor in the nation. Like Kate Brown, the current governor of Oregon, the current Democratic governor of Oregon, is so unpopular. I think that's going to drag down Kotek, especially with undecideds. And I don't know. I now I can see a Republican winning in Oregon, which is
I think that some of
those
undecideds are going to throw their vote for Betsy Johnson, even if they're
definitely
moderate Democrats
as an independent.
So all of that combined, we think, this one is going to be finally still Republican.
Also, we can note that when I checked the betting odds earlier today, the Republican was up slightly. So yeah, it was like 50-50, which is slightly up. Yeah.
Yeah. So there we go. These are our final rating changes for mid-October. We have a 50-50 Senate still, but every state into a more solid category. So even though Ohio shifted into the lean column, every state is now lean or higher. No states are tilt.
Yep.
And if we look at the governor's race, it is now 30-20 instead of 29-21 in favor of the Republicans, with Oregon flipping and a lot of movement around the board. So thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure to leave a like below if you haven't already, and subscribe if you're new. Make sure to leave a comment down below as well to help with the YouTube algorithm.
Yep. Share with everyone you know, peoples.
All right. Thanks for watching. Bye.
See ya.